Hello. There's a range that our nations share where they can't counter what exploits it and defend themselves at the same time. For example, tied to a Joshua Julian I never had anything to do with, recorded harassing my mother and slandering families and elderly women and kids, and his associations with recorded crimes with various natures of home break-ins intercity connected to Wethersfield Police through time. I've been asking to make complaints since 2001. People won't take complaints. They have Russian crimes, actors, recorded and confessed, tied to crimes with the fire department, with Hartford Hospital campus, with abuses of women, including a woman fell on the ground, says she was a Russian, reportedly fell on the ground, recorded and confessed involved with crimes with them, with people tied to a Joshua Julian, and with courts that were raised slandering people, told to put lies between truths to make it look in other words, they're lying to whole classrooms, putting classroom placements, maintaining originally and stayed criminally foreign influenced interbranch cliques, recorded, and they're not letting it reported. This is tied to the premise treatments with every issue. When they say the gun control, oh, we want something done about guns. That's maintain criminally foreign influence premises treatment natures right through campuses. Mental health care illnesses right through the only experts on that, which is with recorded systemic criminality and crime methods in cases, criminal motivations and relationships to each other. Whereas you go in a case, you're not supposed to talk. You're supposed to talk to the lawyer. They're supposed to follow rules, but they don't follow them though. They're being told to not speak medical information as a means to recorded stacking it with fake relationships, forging names, forging fake conversations with doctors. They do that tied to it. Like if you try to make a complaint where you catch them with child abuses, because we have more police, retired and standing, involved with the worse, with the same campus of the child sexual predator principal just sentenced. Also, a Faenza family, recorded and confessed, involved with election crimes with WFSB. And then they had advertisements on that news agency the same day. Their private police and their interbranch sources recorded and confessed, criminally foreign influenced, non-distinctly and distinctly with other Connecticut media. For example, through Wethersfield Park. They play softball together. That was used to record. They have crimes with agencies like the FBI and like the CIA recorded. They attach people after they do those crime acts to fake, pretending they offensive, pretending they had conversations about the CIA and the FBI on paper. And that's the kind of information they pretend they're not supposed to talk because of medical information. They're recorded with a crime method with hospital triages. They have a part where it's where you go, if you go into an emergency room, is also, if you like, sometimes they force people in there. If you're yelling or something like that, they try to make it a mental, In other words, if they heard you yell, they make up fake body language, fake words to put people where they can't take a complaint because it will show them criminal. It will show them using police, processes, everything, insights for crime rolls with other nations' police here. Joe Aiello was also recorded and confessed involved with intercampus, with his families and with police forms on and off campus, with corruption, with houses tied to on and off, and with people with fire departments on and off Trinity College and CCSU colleges campuses. His ties to interstate criminal justice cliques, judges tied to Johnny Duke, who never had integrity, to purposely. They maintained north end of Hartford abused through lifetimes, right on top of the Connecticut River. They never had science speak for them. All kinds of, same thing Park Street, same thing South End, distinctly and non-distinctly, per what was set up here, that George Washington had to leave with slavery entrenched in Wethersfield and Hartford right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War in New York. They set that up as a trap, forced, tactically denatured relationship to nature, suburbs and the city, designed to stack people, to lock people in the suburbs to what is causing negative value nature progressions, blaming it on other things and on others, rather than fixing the value nature system. Systemically sick, and most systemically sick towards urban areas, with this engineering and forced pathology by the fact treatment nature slavery forced method, breaching method on our founders and everyone. For like in Hartford, it was made as a suburban urban city, as the capital between New York and Boston, where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War with the French general, meet with the French general to only be able to counter-extort what had his fact treatment nature slavery, when that is the value of everyone's, distinctly and non-distinctly, specifically to keep it blamed on others. In every modern nation that was made, raised to this illness, which was a trap, for example, 1860, 1865, the Civil War. That's around the time, 1860, around the time the Miles Revolution, after he's already raised. You know what I'm saying? But they're in the same trap. No one had free speech, therefore, Iraq. And no one can explain it since, because they can't come through recorded criminally foreign influence sciences. They don't even let a report. Like there's like a really little creepy little people, like a Joshua Julian, also with others recorded and confessed involved with all kinds of criminal justice corruption with people with the sports teams. You know, they're using other people's talk about everybody, and they're seeding into it lies between truths, and in other words, total lies. They're totally discrediting people through time. They're calling people liars and stuff like that. They don't, and they're with and as why they're lying. Like, in other words, online even, there's a Joshua Julian recorded sexually harassing elderly women, young women, with a group of other people that I don't know, that are pretending to know me, pretending to know my mother, recorded and confessed, involved with recorded and confessed various natures of homebreaking intercity tied to the Wethersfield police, tied to criminals, tied to them, with my past neighbor's house, and with the new neighbors, and with their confessions regarding things connected to untimely death on the campus of Trinity College, and their relationships to a Dillon family with kids over here with drugs through time. They had another untimely death that brought up the school with the child sex offender before he was caught. They put me in jail for harassment, for trying to respond to rape threats against kids in the school, to me. Kids I know. They never even let me get to report this, because the guy told me to entertain his hypothetical. They're animals. You can't even... And they're like happy about that because it's how they feel tough. They don't know how to feel like men. They don't know how to be men. They know how to, in groups, to have guns. Vaccines. We have criminally foreign influenced branches there, here, and everywhere. We have treatments of gun issues. Gun. It's not a premise. We have systemic premises issues tied to psychology, shared agreements, and mental, rackets with Russians, agreed with, and with and as the value of our own agency abridged, the Constitution abridged, with and as us having agencies worse than criminally incompetent, incapable of defending the Constitution and us at the same time, because they need to cover lie progressions offensively, because that's how they were made. So they have notions of what it means to be a title that is, in other words, about the integrity of the FBI that never was, about the integrity of the CIA that never was, about this Joshua Julian online, he said that he used to be like something special with wrestling. really creepy people. They're starting violence because in the background they pretend I'm violent because they've been stacking databases with illusions because they know I boxed. I boxed too, and they're not letting me train too because the same people recorded harassing me when I'm running, but I have to counter that because they're tied to abuses of kids. They're tied to uses of campuses for this through time. Sick. You see, that's why they need to cover live progressions. They need a Joshua Julian to pretend he knows me, to pretend he knows my mother. He doesn't know anything about me. He's recorded with extortion acts. In other words, with other people I don't know, tied to every exception of that, criminally exploited, recorded. In other words, people I know of trying to pretend I know them more than I did in relationships different than I did because they can't talk about reality because every context I know those people in recorded, confessed, tied to them with evidence crime rules. Them having been trying to tell me all fakes. They raised lying to girls the way police told them to, the way military cliques, foreign and domestic, tell them to. So they don't want to follow the rules, so then we have to keep asking. So in other words, they said that communicates to Tom Peruta. So they make troubles between Russians and Americans because I never had anything to do with Tom Peruta, but they have the Wethersfield fire departments involved with narratives where they're directing people to slander my behavior. They're directing rude behavior, and with it implying that they know us, tied to the people that don't at all, tied to the people with also crimes with our fireplace, and with FBI with recorded and criminally exploited positions in my area through time, as a recorded standing nature that is as a criminal and sees his nature exploited as such. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal. Whoa! So in other words, the gun issues and the media, the presidents, each president is with states and areas recorded in collusion with other nations as a fake nations. They're only defending their needs to cover lies and delusions and to blame it on others, including other nations. In other words, that's why every nation is forced into a distinctly and non-distinctly tortured by the same tactically denatured relationship to nature that the breaching organized crime method entrenched before our modern nations, with the method of forcing the home style is not even discussed, or because the fact treatment nature slavery of everyone, including our founders. If anyone was found out speaking about making infrastructure outside of database monitored conversations, they hurt you and your whole family. You see what I'm saying? So no one's going to talk about that. And that's just one of the laws. You know what I'm saying? They had all that juxtaposed. That was the motivations for people to ignore the overt, extra hurt forced on people, melatonin blessed. There and here. In other words, because we have a criminal organization that came before the branches of governments that they maintained coming through. Space maintained criminally foreign influenced Campus Marcia sciences. Then to rolls with that, and with that, within as life progression cover up natures and needs, facilitated to that being maintained to a method to maintain a perpetually criminally foreign influenced, perpetually motivated, trained to be pseudo patriotism natures there, here, everywhere. And so then they want to debate about that, but everyone's only capable of debating within as premises, hacks, knaves, as physical delusions, with as tactically, criminally re-engineered summary convictions, with our histories, and with each of the sciences. Physical delusions manifest within as the value of opinions recorded offensively predatory against anyone who wants, needs to use ratiocination or even correlation. So there's a Joshua Julian forced roles, sustained, forced, slandering. While he's lying about me, he's lying about the girls he's recorded involved with the sexual harassment of, and the women. Also, there's people with a modern pastry. I never had a conversation through time when I was a kid in grammar school. This because it was all these are the people that are tied to the recorded standing intercampus crimes, like what's his name? Sammy Vega, Ray Hernandez, people with the court tied to on-off campus with CCSU and Trinity College, connected with crime acts off the records on-off campus with them, with drug cliques with them. People from my town through time, with crimes and cases, stacking database illusions, using their mouths, formally, informally, to pretend to leave illusions and make it look like I know people I don't even know. And these are people that, like Joshua Julian, lying about me, doesn't know anything about me, and he's spreading rumors online, and he did so on the Wethersfield Highcrest School Facebook page. Also recorded and confessed involved with the drug cliques and the evidence fabrication natures that also formally lied about me to other parents because they had to hide their roles with recorded and confessed drug cliques and evidence fabrication natures and other natures of crimes, characters associated with them as interbranch actors. We have a Christine Bedard, recorded and confessed by all kinds of people tied to her through time, criminally foreign sick. She attached me to fake conversations, attacked women and kids to fake conversations and relationships to others through time. I've been trying to report this since 2001. Also, Christine Bedard recorded and confessed involved with crime acts with through time with his court. Also involved when I was a kid with the same people with crimes on and off campuses, and with evidence and with all kinds of natures sick, where they share girls, and then those girls hurt other girls. Now hurting kids because they were raised by investigators who direct them to offensive crimes and confessions, while they're with evidence receptions where they're faking things into databases, tied to vetting, maintaining the wrong outcomes, maintaining the wrong people, breach right around with his arm around Barack Obama, with his arm around. We're going to think about Trump, who pushed the arm away. No, so he's right to be mad at Sessions for recusing himself. And Sessions is recorded simultaneously right also because for not entertaining those treatments of premises. In other words, you can't entertain those treatments of premises and treat be the nature, the quality of fact treatment nature we need to counter the impositions really force juxtaposed to that. They know Russians are juxtaposed here with mental health care doctors, recorded with crime methods and roles, with hospitals, and with databases, and with that tied to courts and to prisons. They know that is with off-the-records torture methods used to cover up their needed lie progressions that are their motives recorded for their bringing torture up with and shock and awe, having that defended, because you can't self-defend that, and the discernments and distinctions we need to make to understand the criminal insidiousness nature and methods and natures of crime that are exploiting where and how everything's already measured because we're already shared policed. They're here shared with psychology, with a variety of mental diagnosis recorded, being used to cover life progressions, arranged for that. They're just attaching people to fake conversations and forging names. They're using systemically recorded the phenomenon of where you can say that you were next to someone, so you can pretend that you had a conversation. They spoke words that they didn't, and hiding the lies that the people are speaking, like including the Russians and other foreign doctors involved. And that is with their recorded involvements with sexual crimes online and with the area. A doctor of Sandy Hook recorded online threatening me that he was going to put lithium in me and then kiss me goodnight. That was before I caught them, the people with the Sandy Hook and the courts tied to them, with on and off campuses crimes, acts. And they know this, recorded various ways. With the child campus, with the sex offender principal just recently sentenced. See, but they have that other recorded, confessed, pretended not realize because they've been writing other in databases. Because they've been covering live progressions tied to the roles. With and as fake unity. Trying to be a unity as that, as the identity of Russia in America, as our agencies, which never was the identity of Russia in America. It's out here. It's not the breach branches. It's not our opinions. It's our rights with premise treatments of equality not being permitted. Using those kids, the media using them simultaneously, multi-front breaching tools. Their campuses simultaneously multi-front breaching tools. And their victim predator parents demonstrably incapable of teaching them proper premises treatments. Physical delusions we have propagated through our sciences. So, the rest of the child sexual predators, it's not just that one thing. In other words, there's other natures of crime with them, with the kid. Their motivations were for covering up life progression because they had all kinds of crimes and cases through time recorded. Sequence shifts. Sequence shift inside the Ninth Circuit recorded tied to these people with their drug clicks and crimes in Connecticut courts recorded. Not proven yet, but recorded. And they're recorded also pretending other in databases and in cases and with their mouths, verbally federal crimes. So now they can't. Now they painted themselves in a corner. Now they need to pretend to slander me. That's their motivations for sending, for directing this Joshua Julian to keep pretending he knows me through time, to keep making threats. His recorded crime rolls with extortion and with no emotional, like trying to frustrate me by telling me get a job, because he knows that they're involved with forced sustained sex crimes and abuses of little kids and of my family and of other families in the area. Also related to, again, positions of FBI recorded and confessed criminally involved with the area. Various ways. Indirectly through criminal uses of the policing of the witness protection program, tied to Billy Grasso shooter, and tied to the people with the Enzo Fienza family recorded and confessed involved with crimes with the police, with the body dumping spot, and with all natures of crimes with that then and since, and with his roles with crimes with police that also pretended at first that the body was, they tried to blame it on other people. He's also recorded and confessed involved with crimes with forensics tied people, like associated with Phil Clough, also recorded and confessed, pretending to know me through my back through time. 2 times he made like an illusion for real fast make it look other. They might have recorded that. One time I was walking, I was directed, I don't know where, walking towards the school from like the street where you park or near the parking lot. And there was a Phil Cloyle standing next to the one of the female vice principals or principal. I forgot her name. And she was nice. Well, I barely knew her though. But in other words, they were filling in her mind with illusions, pretending I knew him from a distance, because he was recorded and confessed involved with the database illusion stacking, with games with black and white Confederate flag, melatonin blessed people, with criminal justice cliques, with ties to the people associated with the state judicial branch office criminally, with uses of those fake sites used to pretend things that on paper that they can't put on paper on the surface, because they're making up things in the background. That's when they say vetting, that's tied to natures of people with natures of psychologists that are covering their own life progressions by directing crime acts and sick natures of relationships to people. They're gonna make people punch other kids, and then they're gonna hurt the kids who punch them. They're gonna make those kids get punched if they don't punch them. You see what I'm saying? And they're gonna hurt them that way. They're gonna adapt the same way verbally, because we're not letting the law follow. We're letting little creeps like also there's a woman with a there's a bunch of women. There's a with a, what is it called? The Coast Guard tied to this Joshua Julian, and Heather Hansen and her boyfriends that she had around the same time, at the same time, like with sex circles tied to the cliques in my area involved with this Joshua Julian criminally through time, and with untimely deaths through time connected. More than 3. But the one on Trinity campus with the same clique tied to the confessions that brought up the child sex offender and a Scalora family next to the school. Also recorded and confessed with crimes on and off campuses at other schools. CCSU also recorded and confessed with on and off crime roles with Claudia Scalora. They're also recorded and confessed with CCSU crime rules and cases through time, and with trade center and with ties to trade center people with trade center predicate acts, like a proven sequence shift inside the Ninth Circuit in Manhattan right before the trade center attack. Things have been time stamped on time, but then from inside the court, it was proven that someone stamped them again to appear late before the panel of judges that day in the Ninth Circuit, right before the Trade Center attack. No, shutting the place down too. That led to a 2006 case with a former director of the FBI and his co-defendants recorded and confessed involved with the people that are with the sexual crimes. Further, and worse, with the recently sentenced principal child sex offender, who confessed and recorded roles with worse people with the campus tied to me. He confessed and recorded it. A Mike Levine, associated with police with and foreign and domestic, associated with Town Line Drive. Mike Pandoff implied that the Asian restaurant there was involved with his roles with interbranch evidence crimes, foreign cliques, drug cliques, evidence crimes. Mike Pandoff also has recorded and confessed crime roles with court police, intercampuses, using my name, pretending he know me, and different things. They even had me called into a deposition when I was a kid because of his roles with fake. They make fake sides of issues, purposely because they're against correlation nature. They're against the Constitution abridged, which means they're doing trick fact treatments against simultaneously valuable, finite value, active value, and progressive value. Simultaneously value as the value of that progression too, which is the difference between positive or negative. In physics, it's here or there. It's positive developed here as a nature that's going to evolve here, or as a force from here, Lethe of Hades. This is science. See, but we have science now, like demonstrated, because we have forced offensive physical delusions, tactical pseudo-education, maintained, blamed on other, per the Russian involvements, right, with and through drug cliques, right, with and through. Now, I'm not making opinions about people's right to anything. I'm saying because they're foreign drug cliques, and because what they were for, they're furthered not by money. Those are the people with those motivations, and the people with smoking get more motivation or whatever. The other kinds, I wouldn't do any of it. But the courts do it. The courts are recording and confess involved with the drug crimes. And they're keeping the best for it for themselves and for their little rat mobs. And what they're doing with that is using that. We're putting class placements. They're maintaining kids need to hide secrets and stuff like that because they want to get the best. The marijuana. They're little. That's how they're running each age of fact treatment nature. And what they say in those contexts, they're not going to talk about. They're not going to tell people, but they're going to talk anyway. They're developing criminally forward influenced, lie progression, cover up natures and styles and roles. Pseudo patriotism natures here, there, everywhere. No patriotism. They say obligations to demonstrate how you don't make type rates. That was the whole thing our founders are about. You don't make black and white. You don't make, so that's what they're doing with the, they put the little kid up there. Oh, LGBT rights. He's a victim, but it doesn't mean we have a right to ignore it. Those aren't just, that kid never had a chance. And those aren't rights. If you're trying to ask for rights that are ulterior, they're not true all ways, all contexts, then you're wasting, you're sabotaging quality fact treatment nature, premise treatment nature. Same thing, cultural plurality natures. The biggest evidence fabrication natures, So that's because they're the way that we have shared policing, like Iowa, little Italian polarity natures, because it has no identity, a little creep tied to the Joshua Julian, who I don't know at all. See, these people, they make people only know interbranch rap mobs through. See, these are people, Joe Aiello also tied to confessions about his crime roles with interbranch cliques and drug cliques associated with his family relationship to Johnny Duke and his relationship to Johnny Duke, his family's relationship on and off Trinity's campus. Johnny Duke's house, he lived right next to Trinity. I don't know if his wife still lives there. On Zion Street. Also recorded and confessed involved with state police corruption through time, associated with people tied to Joshua Julian criminally. Phil Collo is also recorded and confessed criminally involved with the child sex offenders and with the crimes with Bob Chase. Recorded and confessed crimes with a Phil Collo, with the sex predators, and with evidence crimes with him. And slanders of me, attaching me to people, fake conversations and relationships to people I don't know at all. People I only, and exploiting every exception of it. Phil Clone knows he was never my friend. In fact, he used to pretend not to like me with lies. And I never had anything to do with him. But behind my back to my parents, I didn't know him and others were pretending other. They're like for business. And then he was rude and stuff like that. My mother didn't want to do business with him anyways. She didn't do business with him. Heather Hansen recorded and confessed involved directed to evidence crime roles with real estate, with the detective Dylan, with their relationships to criminality with the police chief's daughter who was in my grade. Also, federal criminals from the Trade Center complex, 9th Circuit, part of the case, had a daughter in my grade. Had other kids they drug dealed through that they put in my classes tied to that, and they exploited that like a Eric Oliveri, Eric Jensen, Marisol. You know, I had a middle school class with a Rick Champfillon. That was no, we never had anything to do with each other in that whole time in middle school, but he sat right across from a doctor, a professor, a Neville, who was the guy who ran the summer school class, which they didn't put Rick in it because they were using him, Mr. Neville, for and Heather Hansen they put in it, and Joe DeMoro. And they were the two, and then they were making they did mail crimes, where they have like a sexual circle, and they wrote a thing and they mailed it. I didn't mail that thing. They were trying to get me to mail it because they were trying to set me up, making troubles between. They were fighting over Heather Hansen at the same time they were going out with her, and they were also involved with they were being directed per interbranch actors on and off campuses with a Dylan a family to pretend things because they were creating polarities that was also recorded and confessed tied to an untimely death back in the day of Mark Halpern's mother, which is a very nice woman. He was a nice kid too. And they had hurt that family. So we have bad family. We have the media and the police and criminals and people associated with Marco Mancini house. I don't know if they still own that house, and a house next to it over near Wethersfield Country Club, on the other side of a pond over here, recording and confessed involved with database illusion stacking people directed to call in fake complaints, calling fake news. Fake news is used for the sexual crimes. Recorded was used for sex crimes by the principal sex offender. They hid this too because of police forums directed Lucinda Alderuccio, I think, or Klavinskis, Lucinda and Justin Klavinskis, to spread rumors about me too, with as people that I never sought out, that had recorded and confessed crime rules with database illusion stacking drugs with kids, and with AP classes recorded and confessed involved, where she would spread rumors about me with the KKK themed kid and the people tied to him, like a Joshua Julian. I never had anything to do with Joshua Julian at all. Other than I don't know another person because they would show up once in a while with my neighbor. They were my neighbor's friends. Eric Oliveri, my neighbor's friends, not my friend. Knows that. Tied to Joshua Stryker with on-off campus crimes with Adina Alford. Attached me to fake conversations. Lie to women. To attach me to fake, behind my back. Everywhere I go, too. It's a pain in the ass. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying? So we never had legal representation. Never had proper. Have me just keep talking, and you don't let me. I'm asking to report things, acts. They're using the news to prevent crime acts from being reported. They're using the news to prevent crime methods recorded with those crime acts from being reported. They're using the news to prevent child sexual predators from being reported, proven ones. WFSB is still using the fake both sides of news up there to hide the lie progressions tied to worse child predators with the schools and with the campuses and with the police. They're not going to hide behind integrity they don't have. They're not going to do it. The FBI doesn't have integrity. That's recorded. They have notions that they're using hurt. They have notions. They have fake credibility. Fake credibility. The news knows they have fake credibility. The news knows they have fake credibility. What pretends other is reliant upon wars. It's reliant upon differences. They're not even different because we're already agreed. Juxtaposed here. Natures of treatments of issues that we agreed, like psychology. Their roles with mental diagnosis recorded, used specifically to cover lie progressions tied to courts that are sick, prisons that are sick, recorded with roles with the crimes with child sex offenders and murderers before they were there. Think I'm playing a joke? You cowards. Take the Sandy Hook crimes, record it, report it. Fix the fake news. Take the Trade Center crime acts, report it, record it. You don't do it because the investigations on off campus with CCO, they already invested themselves to lie progression, cover up needs and natures. Also what the Russian treatments are being used for, to consolidate them with their on-off campuses, crimes with investigators tied to Normandy Heights, recorded and confessed involved with federal criminals associated with the Trade Center attack, with evidence crime rolls with